presidency was not popularly won presidency, it was an appointment by Yeltsin. And this is kind of almost like a passing on of power from the king to his son, almost in the same way. And of course, one could write volumes about Vladimir Putin and his lengthy reign over the Russian Federation, from the beginning of a KGB officer to becoming the Person of the Year in Time magazine. Putin's life and career is full of interesting stories and surprises. However, there are also a number of questionable events that took place during Vladimir Putin's presidency. And most of them did not come until the very end of 2008. Suspicion among the citizens and international political observers all pointed to one single question: will Vladimir Putin stay for the third term as president? So many the question was a fair one because of the dictatorial nature of the Russian leaders in history. However, there was a dilemma. The Russian constitution was in the way. Indeed, nothing in the constitution allowed Putin to stay for more than 2 terms, and wide speculations of Putin's probable push for its amendment or even total dismissal of the constitution became the routine talk among the ordinary Russians. But then, in a surprising move to everyone, Putin decided to take the position of a constitutionalist. When asked about the matter by the press, he firmly held the position that he will step down after 2-term presidency. Surprising indeed, but Putin had a plan that would even make Yeltsin's dismissal of the parliament seem like a stroll on a red square amidst a peaceful Sunday afternoon. And Vladimir Putin's plan consisted of 3 major points. First, he needed to appoint somebody to the throne, the same way almost as Yeltsin did to Putin. And this is when the world first heard of Medvedev. However, notice that in the context of political power, nothing at all has changed. Medvedev was from the same political party as Putin, United Russia. B, the parliament was still largely controlled by the United Russia Party. So nothing at all was changing. All he was doing was simply switching with another individual. The second part of the plan was to actually not leave the political scene entirely, because Vladimir Putin still wanted to have influence over the media. So he actually became the prime minister. So they literally swapped places with Dmitry Medvedev. And afterwards, it actually worked out brilliantly for him because the Russian media started focusing more on Vladimir Putin than Medvedev. So even though Medvedev was now the president, you would see the news reports. You have one report about Medvedev and followed by 3 reports of Vladimir Putin, rescuing kittens, flying geese out of the forest, trying out new pancakes on Moscow Red Square. The media coverage was almost propaganda-like. And the third part of the plan was to avoid the same mistake that Yeltsin was making. And Yeltsin obviously took a risk. What if, indeed, the people and the army sided with the parliament during the up-for-grabs constitutional crisis? Well, that wouldn't have ended well for Boris Yeltsin. So Putin decided to amend the constitution the legal way. And obviously, as soon as Dmitry Medvedev was in the office, they amended the constitution to allow 2 consecutive 6-year terms as a president. And conveniently enough, it did not apply to Medvedev, so Medvedev stepped down after the 4-year term, and Putin won the re-election in 2012, and is now serving a 6-year term, eligible for another 6-year re-election. So we may have him, unfortunately, for a very, very long time. How am I doing on time? Okay, I shall be brief for my other 2 points. The biggest question that I'm asked as a Russian from Americans is, are Russian elections rigged? That's kind of the main question. How are they rigged? And the question is actually a little bit more complex than it is obvious. I will answer in the following way. Yes, Russian elections are rigged, but not in the way in which you may think. So most people think of the rigged elections as people making fake ballots, putting fake ballots in, so that's how the United Russia Party would win more and more votes. However, that's actually not the case. It's the case in some small republics. That is true. There's like 107% of small republics that vote for Vladimir Putin, so over the population that actually lives there. But those are not enough to make a huge difference. The major problem with Russian elections is the term that I call inframing. And it's an inframing of the political sphere. And that means is that the competition has been picked out before the elections even start. Because if you actually look at the different parties that are participating in the Russian elections, you have the Communist Party, which wants to return to the Soviet Union. It's the 2nd largest party in Russia. You have the LDPR, the Liberal Democratic Party of Russia, led by the Vladimir Zhirinovsky, who is a demagogue who believes that the United States is the ultimate devil and tests chemical weapons over Russia. So he wants to go to war with the United States. So no serious person is going to vote for that individual. And then we have the Just Russia, which is the Socialist Party, but the Socialist Party that believes in modern progressive socialist principles. So who do you vote for? And then you have the Moderate Party, United Russia, for Vladimir Putin. It doesn't believe in socialism, doesn't believe in too much of an open free market. Right in the middle of the road, the most moderate party ever. So what happens is the Russian political system doesn't allow smaller parties to register. And if you are, for example, someone who believes that Russia needs more federalism and an open market, there's no party that will represent your views. So you're forced as a rational voter to vote for Vladimir Putin. That's the only rational choice. And the political aspect of it is framed in that manner. And that's how the elections are, quote unquote, rigged. I can talk about the infrastructure problems of Russia in the Q&A section, so if you have a question about it, please don't hesitate to ask in the end. But for now, I rest my case, but I shall be back. Thanks.